Do you struggle with inspiration then by the time that you're hitting the notes for, 2 years or 18 months of hitting notes?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I've a lot of topics. My last special, Fire in the Maternity Ward, I ended with like a 15-minute joke about taking a friend to get an abortion. Where I was like, if I thought of a great abortion joke now, I wouldn't put it in the new hour because that's just done for me. Do I have jokes about killing babies in every single hour? Yes, I do. That will always be evergreen to me. But I miss those days in the beginning where there was no subject you had tackled yet. So you could just write about anything. Now I kind of have to find, what are those little gems? It's like mining, when you're running out of gold.
Is it getting harder or easier?
Yeah, harder. Oh, it's absolutely getting harder. Yeah.
Because I know you covered part of that in what we were talking about before, but I would think the amount of confidence that you have somewhere would make it easier. Not necessarily start over at the bottom of the mountain immediately after you've done the special and you realize I've got 18 months of work ahead that's going to be, I think, like grueling, correct? Mm-hmm. Like work that's when you think of the next special after this one, and I put you at the bottom of the mountain, the feeling that sweeps over you is what?
Disbelief. Like, I don't believe it's ever actually going to happen. It's not like something that I'm like, oh, I can visualize the process of what it's going to take to get back into shape. Like, I can't even visualize it. I talk about retirement at the end of every tour because I almost have to mentally to get through it. But it's that scratching around and finding one new joke. Once there's one new joke, then I'm like, oh, fuck, this is brilliant. I can't wait to go tell that. Then I almost have to write the hour around it to be able to get it up and get it out there. So it's frustrating to get that first one. And I'm more confident now in that I have the confidence. I've done it 5 times already. And I have the money for the first time in my life where I don't have to run out and go do something. A lot of comics now, you see guys who got a divorce and now they have to go out there and their act just gets really bad because people will go buy tickets, but they're just kind of finding it on stage. And I think that's not always good.
Disbelief. When you say first step of the next special is disbelief, you're saying you have no way, you don't know if you can get there. You don't even know. You've just trained for the fight. You've had the fight, and now you can't imagine going through another training camp. Can't even visualize it because it's a blank slate.
Yeah, I can't even picture what it would look like. What's in the room of training camp? Like, I know I can get there, but I just don't know. I can't visualize it. I really will just sit there with a blank page. I'll write a bunch of different subjects. What could I talk about? What are things I'd like to get into? Maybe I'll see a stand-up special that'll be like, oh, I want to get into this. And that will inspire me. And I just write as many jokes as I can until one of them catches me. And I'm wrong a lot. Where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to try this out tonight. And the audience is like, what are you fucking talking about? This is terrible. And that's fine. But go back and try it again.
They decide.
The line between brilliance and hack is so thin that you can think, oh, is this hack? I can't tell. And most of the time it's hack. One of my first jokes was, I had written it. It was, whenever I meet a pretty girl, the first thing I look for is intelligence, because if she doesn't have that, then she's mine. And I remember writing that joke and being like, this is hack. And then someone was like, no, this is brilliant. And then every time I told that joke for years, it always killed. And I was like, I can't believe I almost threw that away. Like, it was a friend had to tell me, no, this is okay. So jokes like that on that line, that's where I enjoy that a lot. And a lot of times I'm dead wrong. And I'm still surprised. 22 years in, I'll think like, this is going to be amazing. And the audience is like, they don't know that I finished the joke. It's so bad. They're still waiting like, and then?
Well, that's like, one of your favorite feelings, is it not? Or no? Like the idea that you're keeping an audience off balance, I assume that you enjoy that.
I like them off balance, but there has to be, you can't just tell a bad joke to like keep them guessing. Like, oh, well, maybe the next one will be bad too.
I feel like Norm Macdonald did some of that.
Very different. He liked to waste your time and do the long street joke. He definitely thought it was funny when he was bombing. I think anytime I'm really bombing, I think about him saying he would think it's funny that this audience came out and paid all this money to come see him and they hate him. So he starts to smile, thinking about how funny that is, and then they see him smiling, and now they're really mad because he thinks it's funny that they hate him, and then it gets so much worse. And by the end of it, he's laughing. I do not smile. I'm like, oh shit, but there's no plan B.
When Norm Macdonald, I wonder what you think of this. He said, do you want to, I think he was talking about Bill Maher. There are a number of comedians you can do this with, I suppose. But he said, do you want to be a comedian or do you want to be a smart guy? Do you, are you going to pick? Are you going to pick? Where are you philosophically on that?
Oh, I want to be a smart guy. Like Norm, and I love Norm Macdonald. He is my hero. He is one of my idols. We worked together on Last Comic Standing and did not get along. I took the job to work with him. Our philosophies were very different, and his criticisms of the other comics. He was a judge. I was the host. I was surprised by, and so just very different philosophically. All the respect in the world for Norm and what he did. It was amazing. I never try to replicate what he. No, not that I would change anything about Norm Macdonald. It's very different.
You didn't get along, though. You thought you were going to get along. You were hoping to get along, and one of your heroes.
I wanted to be best friends, but I think we were both, and we figured it out. But I think we were both a little disappointed in the job we had taken, and saw the other comedians on the show, and we're like, "Fuck, what are we doing here?" And so we were both not in the greatest of moods, and then would butt heads a little bit. Like I don't. Just because he's my idol didn't mean that I backed down at all. I kind of treated Last Comic Standing like it was my show, and no one else thought that. And so yeah, we were gonna butt heads, but that's okay.
It is okay, but I wonder if you're going in thinking someone's going to be your best friend. You're a loner. He's a hero of yours. I imagine a bit of an inspiration at least. And yes, of course, it's okay that you didn't get along, but it would have been better than okay if you had.
Sure, but it didn't make me like him less or respect him less. It was like this is an issue of mine and his. Like neither one of us had a lot of friends or was around people a lot of the time. But I think just right off the bat, I think he said something. I made fun of him for it. He wasn't happy about it, and I was like, I'm going to keep making fun of you because I took this job. And I'm not just gonna sit here and let you take over. And that was it was a tough week. We did 8 episodes of that show. Yeah.
And neither one of you liked being there because you thought the show was going to be something different, or you thought this particular thing, once you realized it wasn't up to your standard, you're like, what have I done? Or
I think Norm and I thought this was going to be like the Norm. I thought this was going to be the Norm and Anthony show where the comics go and perform, and they're all bad. Like they're all like young comics doing 3 minutes. It's not like the comics were bad, but it was still all about them. And if the comics were really bad and we said something funny about it, then that whole thing was cut from the show because they only wanted to show the good comics. So Norm and I were like, what are we doing here? If we can't give our real opinion, you don't want anyone to be mean, and there's 100 fucking contestants. We were both just like, this is not the best use of our time. But by the end of that show, we were getting along. I worked at it.